Thank you. I hope you enjoyed lunch. We're going to do a combined interview or a presentation here. So my co-host Will, he's part of Pigment, the software provider. We're Planadigm, we're implementing supply chain software. So let's move on to the topics that we have today. A short introduction of both our organizations. Then we showcase a bit of an implementation that we've done for a customer here in the Netherlands, and final closings and conclusion. And the floor is yours.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Jan. So yeah, I'm Laurence. I lead the go-to-market for Pigment in the Benelux region. So I'm going to start off with just who is Pigment before Jan speaks a little bit about Planadigm, and then we're going to provide a customer story before rounding off on the end. So Pigment is a next-generation business planning software that enables organizations to make smarter decisions for the business. And we do this with a cloud-native or cloud-based application. And the three core points of the application is, first of all, that it's integrated. We make it very easy for organizations to be able to get data into Pigment to effectively create a single source of truth that they can rely upon, to effectively have data that they can trust and easily make decisions upon and create their planning. Next is around the intuitive nature of the application. Everything in the application is connected in real time, so everyone is on the same page in the organization in terms of the planning that you're doing. Not only that, it enables you to also collaborate within the application, so you can comment and speak to other people within the business, but also it's intuitive to use, so it's enabled the business users to really take control of the planning and not to have to rely on IT or external consultants when any changes need to be made. And lastly is around it being adaptable. Every business is different. Pigment is industry agnostic. We work with companies from retail to manufacturing, high growth SaaS, because the application is built with this flexible nature and this flexible build-up. It means that you can adapt the application over time, but also it can be specifically designed and built for your personal planning needs in your organization. And then when you change over time as a business, which we understand, you're not having to then redo the models. It's easy to then edit and adjust. So that's a little bit about Pigment, and I'll pass over to Jan to speak about Planadigm.
Thank you. So on Planadigm, so we bring in quite some extended knowledge on supply chain, as well as the implementation of planning software. And speaking, for example, to demand planners who are there just for 3 years, we bring in additional knowledge of supply chains and support also in asking the right questions for the implementation itself. Focus of our organization, only use cases supply chain, only with Pigment, so no other software vendors that we support. And in the support of our customers, we start with the implementation all the way, we're a full stack service provider, all the way to the second line support if needed. So a couple of things here on the combination of Pigment and Planadigm. You can read most of them, but two topics I want to highlight here is the parallel optimization. If you ask a demand planner, for example, what do you want to have in the new tool? They will look at their current process and look at the current use of the current system. So their reference system is what they know right now, but cannot make the switch to what a new tool like Pigment can do. So what we tend to do here is quite quickly show them in a couple of dashboards what is the tool capable of doing. So very short feedback loops, making sure that the end user is capable of working with the system. We adapt according to feedback and then move on to the next part. So we can do process improvements as well as implementing the tool at the same time. And that's different in the old days where you had to have the blueprint first and then start modeling. The other thing is extending your supply chain. I did not hear it this morning quite often, but what if you had the possibility to also add your suppliers to your platform? So any disruptions in their delivery to your warehouses, for example, can immediately be reflected in your plans. You get early warning systems if you extend your supply chain up and downstream. That's all possible with a tool like Pigment. Talking about a specific implementation we've done for a global fashion brand retailer here in the Netherlands. They have 3 warehouses here in the Netherlands, so about 2,500 suppliers where containers do come in. That's the inbound process at the 3 warehouses. They unpack it to make customer orders, so that's the inbound processing, outbound part. they had a functional person for each of the three processes, so each one was managing their part of the system. It was not connected and quite labor intense because they used Google Sheets to get, they work on weekly plans, but it took them days for the plans to be finalized. So any disruption somewhere in your supply chain, you can imagine that took ages. They were not capable of reacting too fast on any disruptions in the supply chain. So when we came in, we started to build the first use case, which was the inbound part, the container part coming in. And by that, we started, once we had that up and running, to the processing part, and then moved to the outbound part. So use case by use case, within 4 months, we had the full functionality up and running. Instead of several Google Sheets floating around, several versions, we now have one connected platform. So the discussions between the different layers in here is quite easily made now. So we reduced the planning cycle from days to hours. So you can imagine how the benefit that it brought for this retailer. Immediate visibility in any disruptions. A container stuck somewhere in the Suez Canal. How does that impact my flow on my workforce on warehouse level or the way around? The ability to create scenarios with just a few clicks. The tool really supports the use of scenarios, and you can even nest scenarios to create a scenario, and from that point a new scenario, and then compare them in the end in the dashboard. Really great features that is, I think, Martijn also mentioned it, needed in supply chain. So the S&OP model is live. The demand model we implemented in 1 month for Europe. Now the extended the demand model for global, because what we've done in Europe also, they liked what they did see in America, but also in Asia Pac. So the number of use cases is extending. So like I said, demand planning, order fulfillment, inventory level management, all done now in one platform, all connected, truly connected planning here. Couple of slides, because we're not allowed to show print screens from the customer, but we have an S&OP demo model. A couple of slides here to show you what we can deliver. So it's our own custom-made S&OP demo model. As you can see, it's mainly based on dashboards. So give the tools back in the hand of the end user based on their specific needs. So it could be a demand plan, it could be a supply plan, it could be a financial planner making allocation kind of trade-offs here. So it is 100% customizable to your supply chain. I think that's the most important one to take away here from this slide. Another one, as you can see here, combination of tables and graphs, where based on your, for example, your demand planning process, you have a generated forecast by the system. The system can generate a forecast for you, and based on that, you have different layers. For example, sales and marketing, introducing a new product, the demand planner overruling. Do we need to have a demand planner overruling? Yes, demand planners overrule a generated forecast. And in the end, you have several lines in here where you can afterwards show what the forecast accuracy, did it improve or did it decline? Another one here is the ability, for example, to the conditional formats. You can see here on the red cells your attention points. So in this case, the demand signal is translated into the supply side, and on factory level here, manufacturing level, you can see based on the red cells, hey, there is an overutilization of my factory, so I need to pay attention to it. 2 more slides and then I hand it over back to you. On the P&L, for example, so are we talking truly IBP? If you have your demand, your supply, and also your financial impact, you can create a P&L. And this P&L, as you can see here, is collapsed. You can hardly see it, but there are pluses. So you can collapse it, you can expand it, all to the chart of account level if you need to. So you can make all kinds of financial decisions if you, for example, need to allocate based on a connected planning example like this. And the final one here is the ability, for example, to create scenarios by just a few clicks. As an end user, create scenarios. If you don't use it, delete it later on. The tool supports the flexibility like that. And I think this is the last slides for you.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah, so look, there's a lot of technology out there, so I think it's good for us just to summarize at the end, like, why Pigment, what makes us unique as an organization. And I think, first of all, it's around the fact that we provide businesses with this decision-making agility. As I mentioned, the tool is very much business user owned, and you can create scenarios anywhere in the application, which enables you to easily make informed decisions when things change and you need to make those choices and have that in the application. I think next is around total cost of ownership. Pigment is a very modern application built on a modern data infrastructure, which means that when those changes need to happen later on down the line, you can own them as a business, and you're not having to, as I say, completely rehash the models. Also, we don't charge companies for data, so you can put as much data into the application as you want and have all of your models connected in real time. So it's really a platform for the long term, which you can grow into and consistently add further use cases later on down the line. And I think lastly is around customer experience. We've put a lot of effort and a lot of attention on enabling organizations to be able to manage Pigment themselves in-house. They're supported by a strong customer team, and then also with partners like Planadigm to mean that they get the most out of the application, and it's something that they can really use in the long term, and they don't default back to Excel or other ways of working. It's really something around enabling the customers and having them have an application in which they can love and they can really do all of their planning. We have got a stand outside, and Jürgen, who also works at Planadigm, has got a short demo that he can show around an S&OP model. So if anyone's curious to see more on the Pigment technology themselves, outside at the stand we can show you a little bit more and show you what it looks like and how it works.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you.